So I've been having a little look at this aluminium. I don't know. You sometimes get sidetracked by jobs that don't really need doing, don't you? But I was sort of noticing how hacked and damaged it all is, all around really. Now, I've been trying to polish it, and I'm not going to bore you with those videos. Let's move those out of the way. I was using some Autosol metal polish, and I was using various polishers. Oh, not that. That's a metal cutting disc. And you can see it didn't really come up any better. And then what happened was I used this one, and it's a little bit worn out, and I didn't realise when I put a bit of pressure on, I actually was scratching the surface of the aluminium. But I looked at that and I thought, hang on a minute, that's actually got a lot of the scratching and corrosion out. So what I then did was I tried this metal, it's a very soft metal brush, and I just tried to do the back of it here where it was really, really damaged. And as you can see, it's really come up nice, and it's kind of anodized as well, which is quite nice. So what I'm gonna do is go over this whole stock, I think they call it, with this wire brush, and I'm going to get it anodized. And then what I noticed is as I go down, so here's another plastic brush, and this is a slightly firmer plastic brush, and then on here is a polishing wheel. The polishing wheel really started to bring this up, so we'll just go down the grades and see if we can get this looking a little bit fresher. So let's start with the metal wire brush and just get this sort of ground down to the desired sort of length we need. This is P600. I think it's wet and dry, but I'm just going to use it dry. And I'm just going to use it on here now to get this really sort of smoothed off. So there you go, look. So that's after, what, sort of, well, I don't know, not even 5 minutes. You can see where I've not managed to just get the sandpaper in because I've done it really roughly. But look at that. That is super shiny. And I'm really chuffed with that. If you look at the top and the other side, that's really come up well. So I think a little bit more elbow grease, and that's going to be really spot on. So you can see how this is now starting to come up. It's super shiny now. This has had 2 coats. All I do is I just get my finger and I smear it on. Otherwise this little spinny thing will just splatter everywhere. So, and I keep this nice and low speed. And then this is a bit I haven't done yet. So, and then all I do is this, just take my time, nice and light pressure on a nice low speed. Otherwise it cooks the metal polish. And I just take my time. I'm really chuffed with that. If you look at the other side where I've sanded it, that's what it looked like. And that is what it looks like now. Shinier than it's ever been. So I'm going to finish that off. It's probably going to take me 45 minutes to an hour to do that. And then, yeah, that's a good little job done. I think we then need to turn our attention to the rest of this tiller. There we go. One shiny tiller stock. Don't know why I did that. Didn't need to do it. But I figure when I give this a little pep up, it was going to make this look really bad. So it's done, it's shiny, and I'm happy. There we go, look at that. So while we're doing the tiller now, next job is to get all these bits off. They're all these flat blade screws, which I absolutely hate. But they are what they are. But they shouldn't take too long to come out. That's one. I just got to remember where all these bits are going. So there's that one. Oh, actually some aren't that. So let's do this one. All this talk about, you know, I've had loads of advice about screwing things into wood or fiberglass. You know, fiberglass is really about leaks, but wood, you know, people said put epoxy in, put varnish in, drill out the hole and put epoxy in. I think I've talked about it a lot on this channel as well. And in the end, what I've done is just screwed stuff in with a dab of varnish, and I've never had any trouble. In 2 years with Mocking D, I've not had a bean of trouble. Right, just need to get a different end piece for that. Very powerful, this drill, but you just gotta be careful you don't break anything with it. As you can see, it makes life much easier. Now this here, these screws are a little bit corroded. Don't know if you can see in there. So, okay, let's get the flat blade back on, and then let's see if we can, you know, oh gosh, oh my word. Let's see if we can get this one's coming out, but these screws will need to be replaced. They're obviously just steel screws of some nature. But this side is looking a little bit, actually there's a little varnish on the top as well, just to make matters worse. But this screw, unfortunately, looks like it hasn't got any thread at all on it, or any, you know, any place to put the screw, this piece in. It's just corroded away. That's not good. Yeah, you can see that's definitely not a brass screw. Now let's see if that's locked. Sometimes if the screw is corroded enough, yes, you can actually just get it out like that. But yeah, look at that, super rusty. You know, might be able to knock that out with the hammer, but often these sort of, let's see, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we've got that out enough. God, you can see all the rust coming out there. Oh yeah, oh my word, look at the state of that one. So you come under the light here a bit, completely rusted up. So they'll need some new screws, but we've saved the, hopefully saved the fair lead, because it'd be nice to keep the same fair lead. Always like to reuse stuff, but as long as that fair lead is still sound, it does. I think that's actually, I don't know what that is. I think it's varnish. Yeah, I think the base is still quite sound there, that the screw would sit on. So that's good. Oh, and we've got one more. Sorry about this. Just one more. This little fair lead that I put on, and quite frankly, I've never used it. I don't know what it's for. I think it was originally for a fair lead for the main sheet, but we actually have that one there now. So there we go. That's one tiller ready to sand and ready to varnish. Right, I've got some P320 on there. I'm just going to rough this up because it's pretty sound, so it gives you a good surface to re-varnish on top of. So that didn't take too long. I actually got some 240 grit on there, and I've pretty much taken off all the varnish that was on there. And what I found is that looks a lot like teak. It's hard to tell. So what I have noticed is that matches a lot better now. So I think what we need to do, I'm going to let that just dry. We're going to then just give it a little patch, see if it'll take some teak oil. Because if it takes teak oil, I'd rather put that on it. And then the next thing we're going to do is just epoxy under here. Oh, can you see there? Just to sort of shore up this bit of wood, because it's been getting a little bit of water. I've sanded that. I've tested it with a screwdriver, and it's not gone. It's not rotten, but it does need protecting. And then, yeah, then if we can teak oil it, that'd be brilliant. I think that'd be really, really good. I've actually just brought in my centerboard case that's been teak oiled. I mean, that's had about 5 or 6 coats on it. But I mean, look at it. If we can get that to match, which we probably can with a teak oil, then that would be brilliant. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there, and let's just put a little bit down there. That's all we're going to do. A little bit like that, and we're going to just see what happens. So here we are. This Deks Olje is definitely soaked in, and a little bit of dribbling there. So I kind of like that. I like that finish it's given as well. It really brings out the colour. Let's have a look on here as well. Yeah. I don't know, is that... It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell whether you should Deks oil this or whether we should just varnish it and be done with it. This is the Mizzen mast. And some of this sort of mould, if you like, let's try and get a good bit there. You'll see that bit of mould there. I've just wet my thumb. A lot of this will come off, but a lot of it won't. So what I did, I took to having a little sand. So where are we? Of course, I sanded it right in the middle part of the mast to test. And it seems, I don't know whether this is... No, that's varnish. I'm sure it's not epoxy. There's definitely a layer under this varnish. Oh, sorry, there's definitely a layer of sort of mould under this varnish. So what happens with varnish is you'll get moisture trapped under it, and it'll eventually sort of get this sort of mouldy looking look, and it'll be under the varnish. And you know that you've just got to whip off the varnish. My sea hopper, if you go and have a look at those videos, my sea hopper, when I was getting the varnish off that boat, definitely you could see that. When you got to the wood, it was lovely and clean again. You know, it's not really affecting the quality of the boat. I mean, there, look at this up here. I guess this is where you see it most. So you can see, actually there, the varnish has started to peel off. When you sort of scratch that back, you can see it's nice and clean underneath. So I think we're going to have to get the big sander out, this one, and give that a whiz up and down. Try and get that top level of varnish off. I don't know whether this has got a coat of epoxy on it or not. I don't know. I think you can't really tell until you found out. This sander, this is my multi-tool, it's rubbish for these bigger jobs. It's just about good enough for that tiller, but it doesn't really do the job. And this this sander is, you know, the sheets last like 5 minutes when you're, or 5 seconds when you're trying to sand varnish as well. So I think we'll get the big dog out. We'll give this a varnish because we've got weather today, a sand. And the other thing I wanted to show you was my Bumpkin. So the Bumpkin's a similar story. I mean, it's perfectly fine, but then on closer inspection, you find that there's been a few bits and bobs of varnish added onto it. And I just think it's probably time. If we're doing the Mizzen mast, then we're doing this one as well. So we're going to sand both of these today. So I've got my new roof rack feet for my car. And that means I can get the mast on top of the car, hopefully, because it won't go in the van. It's too long to it's a bit dangerous. It sticks out about sort of 2 meters, so it can't go in the van, but it should be able to go on the top of the car. We'll get it back here and we'll get it sort of varnished up. It just fits in my my garage, so hopefully that will be we'll be able to varnish everything in there, and maybe we'll just have to heat things up a little bit like we did last winter with Mockinday. So yeah, this week's going to be all about sanding and varnishing, but nowhere near as much to do as when we did Mockinday and even the Sea Hopper. Really, it's just a few maths really.